Okay, guys, welcome all of you. Do you want me to speak through the microphone? Is it better for you, or can I speak like without the microphone? What do you say? I think it's mic only. What do you say? How many people can hear me with no microphone, please? Is it much better for you? Okay. So I will try to shut out. Perfect. So we've made a first decision. Switch it off. Cool. So welcome once again. I was told to speak in English because we are Pure Storage, right? Of course. No worries, no surprise. And I'm really pleased to see all of you here. We are quite a decent quorum of people, which is fantastic. I see some of the faces, existing faces, new faces. By the way, how many people are known about our community, and how many people are here for the first time, please? Okay. Which is a good story because we are getting momentum, so that's pretty fine. Cool. So today we are at the basically 9th meetup of ours, where basically we are going through most of the companies, and today we are going to talk about some exciting topics. The topic is, of course, the performance reviews, how to make people grow, how to listen to them. How to make sure that they don't disappear from one day to another company. We all know how things happen. And there might be some of the things that you might be surprised how many companies actually do not have some sort of a performance review frameworks, career framework, and so on and so forth. So there will be some of the things that we'll be talking about. It will be full of information, so please stay tuned with us. I will take my clicker with me. So the good thing is that actually we are roughly like I think we are here about 60 people, I guess. It's already close to 100 people, 200 people that are part of the community. So if you want to be part of that, it's not for free. You got to do something for that, be a little bit proactive. Nevertheless, this community is built especially for engineering managers in our Czech Central Europe territory. And our purpose is really to make sure that we help local Pure Storage international companies to basically grow. So the mission statement is that we really want to make sure that we are helping the right companies to catch up with the ecosystem that comes from the startup compared to Berlin, compared to Amsterdam, compared to London. That's our mission. That's why you are here. Okay? Cool. There is one condition why I want to make sure that this session is really valuable for you. The rule is that we are not going to talk theories. We are going to talk practice. I hate speaking theories. I'm reading like hundreds to thousands of different books. And the topic about performance reviews being loved, that's what we want to cover. Of course, to put the heart, it's sort of egocentric a little bit. You know what I mean? Well, what it really translates to is that we want to make sure that we create the career framework and performance review system that people sort of like, accept. The performance review that is, I would say, easygoing. We want to create a performance review that is fair. That's one of the principles that I'm looking for. Okay? So the first thing to remember, the reason why usually people talk about performance reviews and why we have it in place is the principle of fairness. Moving on, I want to welcome Honza.
Hi everyone.
And we have Martin. Can you guys please come to closer so people can see you? Because I know that my face is not the most intellectual. So we decided to make a combination of all of us, because Honza is coming from Pure. Martin is, you are the product board ex-director. Basically, if you can put some of the words about your background for like a couple of seconds, that would be nice. So starting with Honza, please.
Hello, I'm Jan. I'm alcoholic. And I'm working as an engineering manager here at Pure. I'm here like roughly 2 years. And I've been working with teams like PDS, and currently I'm working as a Fusion engineering manager.
Cool.
Hello, Martin. I have a real beer.
There.
This is just a piss.
So I worked for a decade. I work as an engineer. Then I work in Leftago CTO and in Bragboard as director of engineering.
Okay, cool. And the reason why we have all, why you have all the guys, all the three of us here together, is that, as we were saying, we want to talk real stories, the stories that are part of the performance reviews, what's happening usually to us, and not some sort of theory books that you can link, you can read through the blog post and in other media. So I think it will be pretty much useful, and that's one of the conditions to make it work and work for you to attend. So really what we want to make sure is that each of us, each of you, leaves with at least one idea that you want to implement in your company or in your team in the end, starting tomorrow. Okay, so thank you guys. You will be part of that, and I think Honza, you can stay.
Okay.
Because actually Honza will be the first person to get roasted. So we'll leave it up to you.
Okay.
So thank you, and enjoy Honza's talk. Thanks.
So, as Martin said, what you will bring from this, maybe you will bring how to not to do that. That's mine. That's mine.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. This is worse. We can share something, but not if you. Okay, so I'm Jan, I'm engineering manager here at Pure, and let me start with a small story. I've wrote 2 actors for that, and it's Alice, the engineering manager, and Bob, who is her direct report. So Alice and Bob are having their usual one-on-ones, regular ones, but usually they are not putting much thoughts into these one-on-ones, so they do not have much points to discuss. Usually the one-on-ones are very quick, and in case there is some topics, it's usually slightly towards the status update instead of talking about Bob and his story as an engineer. So when Bob asks Alice for a feedback, she's not much ready for this, and she just responds very easily. What is the easiest for her? We are doing great, Bob. Everything is awesome. Based on this feedback, Bob is feeling really well about himself. He's hearing superlatives, no problems at all, and he's feeling like a superhero. Naturally, he would have a tendency to think that, hey, my performance review will be awesome, and I can expect great bonus. At some point, Alice is forced to basically do the performance review at the end of the year, as in every company, and she has to think about her team and how everyone within the team is doing. And eventually, she finds out that Bob is not doing that great as others. In fact, in some points, he's lacking and he's not meeting her expectations, which means that naturally she should give him a bit worse rating so that it is fair towards the team. So the performance review time comes, and she tells Bob. Bob is completely devastated because he was not expecting this. He was expecting some superlatives about his performance, but he's now hearing that not everything is awesome, and he's getting the bad performance review. When he heard this, he stopped listening what Alice was telling him because he's still thinking about, hey, why am I getting this? He's completely lost. And what happened that he lost trust in himself as an engineer, and he decided eventually to change his career track. And he became a rapper because he's talented, and now Alice lost his engineer. So, what do you think Alice could do better in this short story? Was everything good, and it's like the problem of Bob only? What do you think?
She could ask better.
She could ask better? Ask what?
Sorry?
Ask better?
Yes.
What do you mean by that? Can you explain?
I don't know. She just like put the normal question when you can answer like yes or no or good. That's it. She could ask like for more better answers, like with better questions.
Okay.
She should basically do everything not to surprise Bob during a performance review.
Nice. Okay.
Like every time you surprise somebody during a performance review, probably did a bad job.
Yes. Yes. What else? Any other ideas?
Especially she should take care of Bob continuously from the beginning, doing one-to-ones,
and pay attention to the relationship between themselves and not just waiting for the performance review and then.
Excellent. Yeah.
She should have been telling they should be on the same page regarding the KPIs and performance reviews, so he should know what the metrics are in order to understand, like, does he reaching the goal or not. And he should also do some kind of, once he's aware, that his performance review would not be a shock for him.
Okay, that's very good. And I think this is a good intro to my 2 main points, and it's something like define a contract for some achievements throughout the year, and again it would bring her much more inputs towards the final performance review. One last thing, what do you think happened to Alice?
She was promoted.
Yeah, I was more pessimistic, so after some time she lost trust of her company and she had to change the career track as Bob, but unfortunately for her, she was not a good singer, so she had to do something else. Okay? Now it's time for your comments. What do you think? Was there something I've missed? Do you have some questions to this? Yes?
How do you tell an engineer that, hey, this is the team performance, this is how we do it, this is the pace we are moving, and like you are slightly below, without getting them demotivated but actually getting them eager to kind of nail this thing?
Well, the contract, I think if you have the contract defined right, I think it would help you. Because in case everyone is following the contract and you still think that somebody is lagging behind, perhaps you have not defined the contract well enough. The contract should be, let's say, challenging enough, and in case Bob would fulfill this contract and these agreements together with the goals, he would deserve a good feedback. And in case some people will surpass this contract, they should get, let's say, some, I don't know, on-track plus or some exceed expectations rating, rather than, let's say, penalizing Bob for, I don't know, that Peter was even much better, like a superstar. And in case you would have this, and somebody would still try to force you to give Bob bad rating, I would go into, let's say, challenge with HR to tell them, hey, I have the evidence that this guy followed everything what he have agreed, and I believe that he should get a regular rating, not, let's say, some worse rating.
I think the other thing is that, the message that other team members are doing better than you, or you are doing worse than the others, is not something you want to get to. You should not be rating people by comparing them necessarily to others, but by comparing them to the goals.
Yeah, which the contract and the goals together would help you to do that, right? Not to tend to the conversation, he did that, I did this, and what is better and what is worse.
And you should stick to the facts, so there should not be no
Yeah.
emotional cloning of the statement.
And again, written everything, goals and notes and the contract is like really fact oriented rather than, let's say, he did that. Yes?
I'm interested, how did it happen that Alice was fired? I've heard many stories
No
of
feedback.
people leaving, but I haven't heard many stories of bad managers being fired.
Okay. Maybe there were multiple Bobs and Alice ended up as a sole manager without anyone working with her. So I can imagine that people may be promoted to the extent that they are capable of, and then they, let's say, stay on the position.
Then they are promoted to a position they are not prepared.
Yes. But perhaps with Alice we were a little strict and she had to do something else.
Yeah, she has to receive the feedback as anybody else.
Everything was awesome until she was fired, right?
Like she managed to get rid of employees which were not so performant. Maybe she was promoted.
Okay, yes?
Also, I want to get back to the case that you collect feedback from the other stakeholders. Did you tackle such a situation in your team ever? Because first, I would like to give you a story how maybe the participants tackled that situation in the wrong way. But this somehow asking the other stakeholders for the opinions for each other led to bad blood because they just let's say žalovat to the others. I'm sorry, can't find the
Blame,
yeah,
yeah.
blame. In case of the blame culture, it really created bad blood, and I saw that in my own eyes.
I was always trying not to do it within the team, but with external stakeholders. And in case it was within the team, it was with the tech leads only. So that basically, I consider tech leads mature enough so that they can provide honest and, let's say, straight feedback without blaming others. I'm not looking for somebody to blame, hey, he did wrong, but in case somebody would be telling me some feedback, I would also ask for evidence or something like that. So in my career, it never happened that people would be, let's say, blaming on each other, because I was trying to basically do it first in private, so basically they were not aware. I was not telling them, hey, Peter said that you did this and it was completely screwed up. It was
The people will tell each other that's the case.
okay.
And that's even worse, I think. Then.
I see, but I'm wondering whether it was within the managers or within the, let's say, the programmers or into direct reports. Because I was never, let's say, going into the team and asking, hey Bob, what do you think of Peter? Hey Peter, what do you think of Bob? What do you think of Joe and others? It was always like with some level of maturity of the people, so that they are experienced with providing a feedback. That's
Well,
what I was trying to do.
People have some level of maturity, I think.
Okay.
And
So this never happened to me. Luckily, maybe I'm lucky then.
Maybe I'm asking if you have some recipe for how to tackle that, how to
I think
create a blameless,
we will-
blameless environment around you, if it's about it or something else.
Maybe we are lucky in Pure that we do not have this blame culture, but we are trying to focus on a success and honest feedback in case there is, let's say, a reason for that.
Well, you don't believe that yourself, right? this is
No,
only.
it never
this
happened
is,
to me
this
that
is
people would
written
blame
only
each
in
other.
books.
Like say, if someone is blaming someone else, usually what I ask is, hey, and have you been talking together? Because you have to solve the issue at first and give the feedback to
Yeah, exactly, and that's even the case when the director or someone will ask for other stakeholder for the opinion to the other. Why he doesn't go to that guy himself and just talk about some problems they can see, based maybe on some metrics or not delivered KPIs or whatever.
Okay. But in my career, I was not in the situation that people would be, let's say, in a war and, let's say, trying to blame each other, luckily. Maybe it will happen to me, and then I will remember those your words that I was lucky. But so far, I haven't experienced that.
Okay, and last question, please.
I have one. Well,
No, go for it, go for it.
We can go two.
You're the boss.
You are the engineer manager, and we were talking about defining contracts. I'm curious what kind of contracts do you give to your engineers? Because, I mean, it's easy to give kind of KPIs like, I mean, it's not easy actually for engineers. Like, okay, if you do 1,000 lines of code, like 10 merge requests, then you are doing good. So what kind of contracts do you give, KPIs do you give to your engineers?
Usually, if you are working in big companies, you have some definition of expectations on people's roles, like on a level or something like that. This is a very good source of, let's say, definition of the contract. So sometimes I'm asking the people, hey, you should go through that, or go through that and let me know if something is not clear to you. We can go through this, in Pure we are calling it levels metrics. Basically, there is a clear definition of what is expected from these people on this level. So usually what I'm trying to do is basically make sure that people understand that, and in case there is something extra or something like that, we are also going through that. Plus, we define the goals, which are also supported for this contract, so that if we combine these together, it is very easily determinable whether somebody is following this contract or whether they are missing something, and then we can work on it together. It doesn't mean that if you are missing some part of this contract that you are wrong. It may be that you did not have a time for that, or you will focus on something else. So my goal is not to catch people on something not doing, but help them to make sure that they are fulfilling that.
Well, let's say if you do not have profiles, you can maybe focus on code quality or self-development. So these areas you can cover in the expectations and then provide feedback for that.
But what if the goals are, what if Bob's goals are exceeding the company's capabilities? For example, his goal is to become some system engineer, and the company cannot just provide it, it's too small for this goal. How to solve this? For
Well-
example, it's super senior engineer, what will it be in this case?
The goals are something which I see as, again, as a contract between the manager and employee. So you should probably try to drive the definition of the goals towards the suite and possibilities within the company. In case somebody would define that he would like to be a rapper, I'm not sure whether I can help him with that. So I'm always trying to challenge the people to do the goals which are, let's say, outcome-based and outcome-oriented, but also somehow tailored to what the team or company needs. Also, for example, in the goals, I'm asking people to put there something which they really would like to improve, and it's a soft skill, because many times with engineers, some technology specific, like Kubernetes or something like that. And I'm challenging them, okay, what about something which you are not feeling that great at, but may be helpful for your future career. And the last question, you had a question?
Do we have time for it?
We do.
Okay.
You're the boss.
So my question is going back to how to basically get the feedback from the external stakeholders. So I think that, for example, at our company, we have a slightly different challenge than that blaming kind of thing. We have more of a issue where we have 360 feedbacks. So we're actually asking the teams, the people that have worked, peers that have worked with the person in the past 6 months. And I think we have more of a challenge where people are too nice to each other, actually. And so my question maybe would be, what questions are you actually asking when you're trying to get feedback on your engineers to really get relevant feedback and not only the kind of nice things that I think everyone is happy to share, but actually understand what's the actual performance of that person.
So as I mentioned, I'm asking relatively senior people so they know already a bit about what kind of feedback I'm looking for. In case the feedback is really like super positive, something like Alice did, I'm asking, are you sure there's nothing the person can improve? It's like the ideal employee. So I'm challenging them, challenging on this, like making sure that, because from my perspective, in case I'm giving somebody the feedback, it's an opportunity to grow, you know? And yes, it's great that we will bless each other, but potentially we are not getting much inputs to basically, hey, what we can do to make it even better. So in case somebody gives me that kind of feedback, I'm trying to basically ask, are you sure? Is there something? And also what I'm trying to do with my colleagues and peers, in case I see somebody does something really great or something doesn't work that well, I provide the feedback without me being asked. So basically I find the person's manager and I say, hey, this person did really great with this project. I really appreciate how she approached this and that. Or in case there was some, let's say, some room for improvement, I usually let the person know that, hey, I think this is something, and potentially sometimes I also send it to their manager, but with them knowing that, so that it is not blaming, but it's like objectively, hey, I told it to you, but I will probably let your manager as well, so that in case he would ask or something like that.
Maybe I can expand a little bit because I will talk a little bit about this
Yes.
situation. Basically, I think that there is a difference if you ask what is negative about the feedback. Second question, and sometimes even completely different, is how that individual can grow. And there is always something to grow. Because there is nothing negative about a person if you will compare it to your career, for instance. So I think that's about question negative versus growth, and there's always something to grow for everyone, literally.
Great advice, thank you.
And I think this was nice intro to
Okay.
Martin Stone.
Perfect. So I think Honza made a great job at covering his case and his story. So thank you for that once again.
Just like we said last lady.
Is it that?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now it works.
Hopefully it works. And now we want to move to Martin, where Martin is gonna, describe his own story, the real one. And the story is going to be about the real feedback, because that's where we see the most of the cases that we are suffering in. We all know that it's easy to provide a good feedback, but to provide a constructive feedback, notably the negative one.
Actually a nice segue.
That's a nice segue to our talk. So thank you for that, and free to go.
There was 5 minutes break. Are you going to do
It's
fine.
I think we can move,
Okay, perfect,
move along.
perfect. So thank you very much. Marianne actually provided a wide picture for performance reviews. Honza started with the no feedback and how to transform the culture to continuous feedback. I worked for Leftago and then for Product Board, and we spent a lot of time by defining various frameworks. But after a couple of iterations, it turned out that the problem what we had was not in let's improve the framework X, Y, Z or whatever is that, but rather than into how to give properly particular feedback. So when I was thinking about the topic for this session, the first choice was, okay, how we should give and master feedback.
Especially in Czech Republic, right?
Especially in Czech Republic. So I would like to ask you for some cooperation. I have a question, because Honza actually started with culture of no feedback. What do you think is even worse than just not receiving any feedback? What is that? What do you think?
Only positive feedback.
It's not worse, it's but it's a good direction.
Misleading feedback.
Well, you know the slides, right?
Not sincere feedback.
Getting it late.
Sorry?
Getting it way too late. Feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Any other idea?
Said delivered wrongly in the wrong tone, like too critical or too friendly.
A lot of great ideas. The worst I've seen was actually walk feedback. If I'm engineer and someone will share with me, okay, your code sucks. Nice, but okay, what should I do with it? If I'm a new manager and I'm doing the best within my first year, and my manager will share with me, okay, you don't manage your team very well, so it's not helping me, and I actually don't know, I did my best, but what should I do? Similar general statement, very vague, it doesn't work. Or what I've seen, your analysis is basically terrible, but yeah, what should I do with it? What is the context? These are negative things or maybe growth things, but even great job is, from this perspective, very wrong because it's very positive and it might make my day, but what should I do with it? It's a great job, but what did I do in a great way? So I think that walk feedback is actually the worst, even worse than anything what we have discussed and you mentioned so far, because basically it doesn't help. If you share feedback with someone, you basically have two goals. You want to somehow resolve something, there's an issue, so you'd like to fix it specifically if you are a leader. But the second point for you is that you would like to help that individual, basically to overcome that issue in future. And this feedback, what was mentioned on the previous slide, isn't helping at all. If I'm an engineer and someone will share with me that my code sucks, so I've even seen that it was very personal and it created a lot of stress because of it's very vague, there is ambiguity there, and yeah, am I a bad person because I'm just writing bad code? If I'm a new manager and I'm doing my best in the first year and someone will share with me that you are managing the team very well, I might think, I'm a bad manager, should I just jump to code as well and do IC job? Or even the worst thing is that person that shared with me that walk feedback actually don't like me. And this created a lot of stress. I've already seen a couple of times this walk feedback, and it was not good. And overall, what is the reason why it's not good besides the personal thing is that there's a lack of detail. If you share with someone that his or her code sucks, what's the context? Maybe I just did 99% of work very well, but you don't like some part and it's failing. So what is the context for my bad job? What is the impact? Maybe as an engineer, I see other priorities there. So it might be fine that code is working, but it's slow, for instance. So what is the impact? Should I change my priorities, or what is overall landing? And the last thing, last part of giving good feedback and it's missing in the Vogue feedback is, okay, so I understand the code sucks, I understand maybe it's the impact, but I did my best. And the question is, what should I do next time in a better way? What is that? I don't know. I did the best, and I don't know what should I do next time in a better way. So Vogue feedback is the worst from my perspective, because it creates stress, and it doesn't provide any detail for context, for impact, or for guidance. So it's nice. I mean, it's not nice, right? It's unfortunate to receive such feedback. It's unfortunate. And I would like to talk more today about how to solve it. There's a simple tool, and I was more than happy to use it a couple of times, even for performance reviews, even within my one-to-ones, or even within a regular discussion. It's a very well-known framework that somehow prescribes how you should formulate your sentences if you are talking with someone or you are giving some feedback. What are the parts there? If you are talking to someone and you are sharing your feedback, there should be definitely the situation when this thing happened. When and typically where. What is the overall context? Why I'm giving you this thing? What is the context for that feedback? The second part within this feedback is behavior, or overall what happened, what did you do, how did you do that, and what was your behavior and what was happening. And the third part here is what is the impact, what are the consequences, how others from other perspectives, how they perceive, what did you do, or what was the situation. It's a general prescription, so let's look into some examples. I took them from IC perspective. In general, I feel that there are two kinds of feedback. You can praise someone, this is the second thing, and you can provide, usually it's called negative feedback, but I don't like it because you can just perceive everything as a growth with some baseline, and typically individuals in software companies are doing, from this perspective, their best, but sometimes they don't know how success looks like and how they might solve the situations in a better way. So I call it growth feedback, not negative, but growth. And I try to always format and formalize my sentence, my feedback in that way. So if we will look into these examples, the situation in the SBI framework is same for both things. We as a company or as a team or I individually developed some new service last week. This is that situation, what actually happened. And what was my behavior or what actually happened is that there were no tests within my code that I own. And the impact for the situation was that the service unfortunately failed. It was high load. And unfortunately, because of this thing, we lost 10 customers. So you can see that there is a situation, there is behavior or what happened, and there is impact. Similar situation from positive perspective. I developed a new service last week. This is the situation. The behavior was that we expected some performance of that algorithm, but you provided, I'm giving you feedback, you provided 10 times faster solution. So this is what you did. And as impact, we are now market leader for this software, algorithm, whatever is that. And we have 10 new customers that reach out to us and they would like to probably sign some contracts. So that framework is usable for both that grow feedback and for pricing and giving like positive feedback. So this is still theory. So for this presentation, I just look into all performance reviews and do some anonymization of my feedback, what I gave to my direct reports. So I have 3 somehow real examples with some specific details. If you will look into the first one, the situation, you joined the company and your start was somehow poor. Within the first 30 days, you didn't do what we expected. So this is that situation. but your behavior was in the right direction and defined concrete goals. This is that behavior what you did, and as an impact, these concrete goals help you a lot to get back on track. And right now, as a manager, I can just evaluate you or rate you as meeting expectations. So you can see that this literally, this feedback forms the pattern, SBI, situation, behavior, impact. And this is by the book, actually. It was one of the first when I tried it. The second example, and the second feedback is actually reversed. You can see that it's more natural language. You can see that actually the situation is the second thing which is bold here. Yeah, I wrote some component design. This is the situation, and your behavior was that you provided some comments. It might be very simple, as you can see here. And the impact, and why I'm showing this feedback here, was about, okay, so I created that component design. You commented. This is actually your behavior, and it really helped me. What is the next impact? Is that basically it helped me to improve the document. So the consequence was that you actually and the team actually approved that design. This is first or second consequence, second impact. And the last is that basically the approval was very fast, so we can start coding this week. My expectation was that it will happen in the next 2 weeks. And I really like this because you can see that majority of the feedback is basically the chain of impact, and this usually helped me a lot to provide more details why such a behavior was very useful from that individual or from me. So I really like the chaining of impact because you have a better description and motivate people and so on. And the third real example is expanded by guidance. Basically, you can also see that there's SBI. We wrote some component in our last sprint. This is the behavior. In the situation, the behavior was that you actually forgot to add some monitoring there. And the impact was that, unfortunately, it was Friday night and it's just there was an incident, and our production failed for 2 hours and we had to resolve it. So this is classical SBI, again in reverse order, but there is also guidance. You as leaders sometimes need to define guidance. What are your expectations? This is what Honza commented. Sometimes, or in general, as a leader, as a manager, you have gazillion kind of work, but sometimes instead you say, okay, so let's go into this direction. And within the feedback, and specifically within the performance reviews, there are sometimes expectations for some specific task or feedback to define that guidance. So you can just use SBI to define what happened, what was the impact, and also to say, okay, I expect that next time, if this will happen again, why not? You will just at least consider this guidance what I provided to you. So, so far I talked about SBI, like the framework. You can use it on your one-to-ones, you can use it if you talk to your girlfriend, for instance. You can use it whenever you want, but how to use it in performance reviews? Because this meetup is about performance reviews. So first of all, it's necessary to be specific. This is the point of all SBI framework, because the concrete evidence of the things what happened is the most important, and you can just learn the most from that. Specifically, if you consider that performance reviews is some kind of summary, typically for half year or for all year. And sometimes it might happen that I don't remember that situation, maybe I remember different details. So it's always great to write the full details and be very specific, so you can just somehow enable the individual what actually happened and remind the situation. So first advice and first tip is to be very specific. Performance review is typically summary for half or all year, and you might, or that individual might not remember. Second thing is that I sometimes feel that performance review itself is or has actually a negative label. It's more about giving feedback. It might not be pleasant. It's negative. Second part of that is that sometimes it's about pay rise. But overall, performance review is about giving positive feedback and giving so that growth feedback. My best practice was to balance it. So define and find 2 or 3 positive feedback and 2 or 3 growth feedback. To balance it in a way that even for someone who has very growth potential and is not doing job from the career ladder perspective, let's always find something positive. It's not about a sandwich feedback, but it's about you did something very well. Use SBI for that and define 2 or 3 things what might be improved for next time. So let's in performance reviews, let's focus on positive and growth as well. Third tip is obviously to use SBI. I want to highlight it here because it's a tool how to give feedback, but it helped me a lot of times, even myself, because when I was thinking in this pattern about what happened, what was the impact, I sometimes realize something what without this framework I wouldn't realize. For instance, the guidance, okay, I don't like it. I understand the impact, but I don't know how to solve it. I need to study something to give my direct report some guidance. So I definitely have to recommend use it for all the feedback, not only for instance, growth one. Use it for everything because you might even find out new thoughts you didn't know about it. Fourth tip is what I mentioned on the previous slide. For some range of feedback, it makes sense specifically for new managers, new ICs to provide guidance. If they don't know how to solve the problems, and they are pretty much new, for instance, new managers, it makes sense to say, okay, this didn't work, there's that situation, there's the behavior, this impacted the company in that way, or myself in that way, and this is the guidance, what I mentioned on the previous slide, because it will help a lot that individual to solve the situation next time in a better way. And you are accountable for that solution as well. Fifth tip is, even if you provide the feedback and the performance review, you should approach it that it's still your point of view. You might be very wrong, even in performance review. If you are a direct manager, you just gather the feedback from all parties, but you still might be wrong. You don't have to have all the details. So my best practice was, let's gather feedback, let's write it in the right way, SBI way. Let's present it to that individual and basically share it in written form as a performance review and give some time to process it and react it. As I mentioned, you might be very wrong in some cases. It's great to ask, what do you think about it? Maybe I just have only fraction of details, so what is your reaction? How do you feel about it? It's two-way communication. It's not like sending some letter with some performance review. It should be discussion. And best practice was, okay, so let's talk in the next week or tomorrow, and let's grab beer or whatever is that, and basically have a discussion about it feedback. So you can just see even the feedback. And the last, generative AI, and basically SBI as a situation, behavior, and impact in full details. It's great, basically the context and source of information for ChatGPT. So when you approach performance review and overall the yearly performance evaluation in continuous way, you will share what Honza mentioned. You will share the feedback on continuous basis on monthly one-to-ones or weekly one-to-ones. You can just put that feedback into, for instance, ChatGPT, and it will help you with that annoying work to format everything and to summarize the context. If you would use that walk feedback, this tool cannot help you because where are the information? And if you format your feedback in that way, SBI way, situation, behavior, impact, this is a really great source of information for generative AI. So let's use it. It's a great way how to format feedback and sometimes even give tone to that performance review. So you can definitely use it. But the prerequisite is to have full details for situation, behavior, impact. That's all. Any questions? Do you think what I talk about?
You mentioned that the guidance is handy for like junior people, but like more senior people and my girlfriend, they really sort of prefer not to get the direct guidance to be micromanaged, and they then hate you as a manager. But is there some hack how you deal with that? How to, because sometimes you just, with the guidance, you just win it much faster. So do you have some hack?
Let's get back. This is example. It's what is important here, and actually Hamza provided a great feedback for this slide. The keyword here is consider. I can say, okay, so next time you need to use this, whatever is that, some template in Jira, or I can say, okay, so please next time consider it. It might be wrong for 50% of cases, for 50% of cases it might be very good to you, so let's consider it. It's just up to you if you feel that this is a very junior people, this guidance will help a lot, and that individual will grow in a couple of months to senior individual because of this guidance. Let's use this guidance. If you feel that it might be some kind of tip for that individual, usable in 20% of occurrences, let's formulate it. You might consider, you might use, and so on. So it's about like right wording in that sentence. Is that a good preference?
Thank you.
Wait, I would not suggest to use SBI for your girlfriend if you don't want to be have an ex-girlfriend.
I had a good experience even with that.
With girlfriend or ex-girlfriend?
A girlfriend.
Okay.
Any other question?
Yeah, you mentioned that you tend to write down the feedback and then provide it to the reviewee. Do you do it in advance or right at the spot when you meet the reviewed person and discuss it later?
This is a very tricky discussion and questions. Thanks for that. The best practice was to share it, or what I've seen so far was to share it 15 minutes before a meeting, so that individual will have some time to read it, but not to iterate during the nights on top of the feedback. So that individual just read it in 15 minutes, and you have that meeting and you can explain all the details there. And after that, after the discussion, you can just give a couple of days, couple of hours to process it and to provide right-read feedback. I don't have good experience with sharing the textual version of that, then give, I don't know, night, 2 days, and whatever, and just have a serious discussion about it, because it's still written text, and even if you will use SBI, there's a lack of a lot of details, right? You cannot just describe it in full details, it will be no one. So my advice and the best approach I've seen, let's share it upfront, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, so that individual can read it, but you have a chance to explain it in your own words.
That makes sense. Thank you.
But maybe you have a different experience, someone here in the crowd?
Okay, so I guess we are good.
One more question.
Okay, last question.
That's amazing tool and framework if you have all those insights about the cases, about the situation you can describe. But it often happens, because I'm already hands-off, that I don't have it, and I will have to go and ask before every one-on-one, basically have 2 more one-on-ones with leads or other peers to get the info. I would triple my one-on-ones or something. Do you have any tricks how to, or what should I do if I don't have the insights like this?
So if you want to give feedback, you should have the insights. Otherwise, it's very, you are on weak spot, right? So what we did specifically for performance reviews, we used to call Culture Amp, and we asked for the 360 feedback. And when I felt that there is some weak spot for me, I just literally asked in person that peers of that individual, okay, so please, there is something, some topic, so can you please give me some details, so I will have full context for that. It was for specific cases when I felt that I'm on weak spot, so not for everyone, but only for the cases. So sometimes in the city you go in person to that individual, I mean peers of that individuals, and just ask what are additional details. And obviously it might happen that even with the details you just will fail with giving feedback. So as I mentioned, it's more discussion, so we can just get and ask for additional feedback from the team or peers or direct manager if you are doing skip level. So it's always about the context, and if you want to be accountable for the team or group of teams, you still should be able to somehow get the context, even if you are just not hands-on, and it's out of your, let's say, scope right now. This is my best practice.
Can I ask?
Sorry, do we have some? No?
Yeah, good.
Okay, so we can talk about it afterwards.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry because we are running short of time. So, thank you for sharing. Okay, so perfect. I think we can give it a go. Hopefully, yeah. There will be no break, sorry for that. Nevertheless, you are free to get yourself drunk or do whatever you might. We are adults. There is no reason to, make sure that you hear everything up to each and every detail. Nevertheless, I want to close our meetup with something highly valuable for you, something highly practical, something that might really be eye-opening for some of the cases. And I want to do it in a very similar way that our speakers did, meaning being practical here, talking stories. So please, if you can give me another, hopefully 15 minutes of your time, I would love that, okay? Perfect, so let's start with one thing. I was talking about, to make performance reviews last, of course, it's sort of exaggerated. We all know it. What we meant to say, what's in real in there. The reality of things is that I think we can move it to an optimum when people find it an easygoing process, easygoing system that goes in a pretty given direction with all the necessary details for the junior or senior managers. That's one of the aspects. The other aspect is, as we are saying, the fairness. Why we do the performance reviews? Why do we have the career frameworks? There is nothing more than fairness in that. Okay. Usually the case is that, after we have 40 plus developers, there is one senior complaining to a junior that, why this guy has got a senior title. I don't get it. Or why that guy has got a higher salary than myself. I don't get it. So these are the things that we want to cover. Again, the principle of transparency, why that guy got it, and fairness meaning like we are on the same page here. Okay? And we will be talking about it. So I want to expose a couple of tips and tricks that were helping me to make sure that actually my people, my teams, will love the way how we do performance reviews. The number one tip is that sometimes, and here we are at Pure Storage, where I'm pretty sure that the system is pretty much mature. Nevertheless, you're going to be surprised how many companies are sort of struggling with that. How many companies are struggling with bringing some sort of lightweight system to their companies. And they are waiting for the tank. There's the picture of the tank, hopefully you can see it. So usually what I see in the companies is that let's wait for HR until they come up with something monstrous, something, gigantesque. That's not the real thing, in my opinion, and we can do better. To be very specific, what I wanted to highlight here is that, for example, we don't need to wait for that tank. What can we do instead? And I think Honza was covering that pretty well before, is I said, let's have contracts. Let's build contracts in the written form. I don't remember what I was talking with Honza about half a year ago, what he should be doing, what his goals are, and after 6 months from now, I have no idea what are the details, and he can roast me about it. And I cannot say shit, sorry for using this word, about saying that whether he accomplished the goals or he did not. So at least having these things in a written form, it's a simple thing to start having this thing like in a private Google sheet or whatever, shared between the two people. You would be surprised what's the benefit of that. That is one thing. The second thing that I want to expose here, and again, we've covered it a little bit, is what I found out what worked pretty well is not just how to have the left-hand side being covered, meaning like what are the goals, but what I love having is the definition of success, what it really means in real. To be very specific, I've got an example for you that I wanna, when it comes to the delivery improvement, I wanna see there is an outcome related to that. To be better worded, the outcome is that I really wanna see that that person experience the way how we work, the way how we deliver the new functionality end to end. They are owning that, and they bring that to success, meaning the customer is happy with the delivery, right? The second thing might be, usually, that's what I see repeated quite often. You know, after I read the book, I'm happy. What's the benefit of that? So you should formulate it as an outcome. The outcome for me is that, yeah, Pavel, please feel free to go for the conference. But the outcome is that we'll be sharing your summary and your thoughts at your, community of practice, your guild, whatever that is. That is the outcome. The outcome is not that I will attend something. Nobody cares. Nobody does. Okay? So what I'm trying to say, try to think of outcomes. First of all, make sure that it's in the written form, because after half a year, I'm 44 years old, and I have no idea what I was talking about 6 months ago. And the second thing is that make it as a definition of success to be outcome-based. Okay? This is a very specific example of that. Just to be more relevant to that, I remember once I was closing a contract or definition of success with one of the guys, and the objective was that he will get he will get more fit with getting a 15 kilo minus. Is it a delivery goal? I don't think so. Is it some tangible goal? I would say so. Why have I made a decision? Because I was sure that after he commits to that, actually, to be honest, it will help him to feel much better. And I want to make sure that these people feel much better, that they are supported, that they have something that is tangible to them, and the way that they grow. First of all, you need to clean up this table before you want to grow. This is your table, okay? So it might sound like a funny story, but it helps. And we are not alone here. There are very practical examples of how to create some sort of career frameworks, even lightweight ones. Actually, you might know that I was part of Muse once a couple of, I would say, years ago, where we created a pretty robust framework, which is still lightweight. So you might want to have a look there at the GitHub. And then actually there is even a better source for you. The source is called Progression FYI, where you have, I would say, up to 100 of open sourced career frameworks and levels that you might want to use right from scratch. You don't have to wait for HR to come up with a monstrous tankish framework. Just do it on your own. That's how things usually move forward. The second tip comes down to finding the right goals. And you know how it feels. Usually you have a junior developer, or you are junior yourself, or you are new in the company. Who the hell is helping you with building, some sort of proposal for yourself? What I'm aspiring to achieve? What am I good at? What I want to be good at, right? And if you're not really experienced in that, into coming up with a proposal, what I might want to achieve in the next 6 months from now, and me as a manager, I'm going to ask you, please, Honza, come up with your proposal. Honza is completely lost. He's sweating. His girlfriend is becoming an ex-girlfriend. There is no way, how to help Honza eventually, but actually there is. It's about how to provide a good enough ammunition to make sure that people have the right pool of ideas to choose from. So to be more specific, hopefully it works. Okay. To be more specific, I'm not going to be more specific here. Okay, I jumped by one slide. No, doesn't really matter. I will provide you links afterwards. But to be more the really specific is that you can basically cover more of the things compared to just the delivery terms. Usually, your goal sounds like you will deliver X, Y, Z. That is part of the roadmap. Or your usual goal coming to your mind is that, I want to get better at my, craftsmanship, meaning like the technical knowledge, the domain knowledge, the leadership knowledge. Nevertheless, you might want to have another source of ideas that you want to provide. The one secret tip that I love using is there anybody who heard of ThoughtWorks Radar? Cool. ThoughtWorks Radar is a pretty known source of what are the new tools, the new domains, the new languages, the new whatever systems that are early adopted, or deeply adopted, or just being some sort of a trial to make sure that things are going in the right direction. So basically, it gives you a portfolio of opportunities. What are the newest technologies your developers can play with or experiment with? You don't have to basically things from scratch and without having no issues whether that will really help or not. That is one thing. The second thing might be people often neglect the relationship aspect when it comes to individual developers. So what I really value is that, for example, one of the goals that I love actually is, Jirka, you are new, therefore there is some sort of a new starter joining our team. So your definition of success will be that you will take care of Jirka, and Jirka will stay with us after the probation period. This is very strong. I don't care about how much of the roadmap you deliver if you make sure that there is a teamwork in the team. This is a much stronger and much effective goal compared to having a simplistic delivery in place. Okay? We'll give you a full list of what are the abilities, and actually that's what I do. I provide a full list. It's, I would say, one A4 page that sort of describes what might be the pool of different ideas that people can think of. And it's really powerful. The tip number 3 works. Okay. This might sound pretty trivial. Nevertheless, sometimes we totally screw it up, which is about making sure that actually it's not you dictating the goals. So the rule should be, before you come up to your direct report, make sure you give them space to come up with their proposals. Hey John, hey Jirka, hey Peter, hey Sarah, what are your aspirations? Give me a list of top 5 things that you want to cover for the next 6 months from now. If I make it vice versa, meaning I'm going to dictate, I think this is what you are worth improving at, or this is what you might want to accomplish, even though I might be right, I totally lose the ownership. Your guy's going to kick me in balls, basically. They're not going to care. they lose their ownership. So please take that in mind. All of us, and that's a rule, it's not an assumption, it's not a suggestion, it's a rule. Make sure that you ask your people to come up with a proposal. The number 4, and I think we were talking about it already, having one sentence or 2 sentences being described by, what the goal is. Make sure that you transfer that message to sound outcome-based. So that's really important for you. You want to make sure that the outcome is represented there, that you have a clear definition of success. Without the definition of success, we can spend, 20 minutes, 30 minutes discussing, so what was the agreement 6 months ago? I don't know. I have no right to roast you. I don't. So just make the definition of success be a really one-on-one part of your contract. That's my strict advice. Number 5, and I think we've covered that pretty well, is that if there's anything to remember from this talk, that's about having the small monthly check-ins about how things are going in terms of your performance development plan or individual development plan, however we call it. If we don't have these monthly check-ins, what message do we propagate to our direct reports? The message is that although we have the career framework, we don't care. That's the message. Let's be honest. We built and agree on the new goals for upcoming 6 months, but 6 months we are not asking about what's the progress there. The message is, I don't care about your progress in real. This is some sort of artificial, superficial system that sort of help us to get you on a high level eventually. But to be honest, I don't care. This is the message that we give if we don't take care of that, right? So my advice is to make sure that at least once per month, I'd be part of your one-to-ones. You are asking your direct reports about, hey John, speaking of your progress, so what you are in terms of your individual development plan. Can I unblock you? Can I help you? Can I give you some support? Is there anything I can do for you? Usually we hear the sentence, I'm busy. I will cover that later on. But it's really important to make sure that we are actually talking and pushing people to make work on these pieces. If we don't, the message that we are providing is really that I don't care whether you are senior or mid-year, you are just, I would say, a person in the Lincoln Volkswagen for me. Sorry to put it this way, but this is what it is. To me, the topmost thing to remember as well is that if we want this system work, whether it's complex or lightweight, one of the things that we need to maintain is that we make sure that it's fair. Without being fair, without creating the system being fair, we failed. We want to be fairly evaluated. We want to get fair opportunities. We want to be fair. Okay? One simple trick, above all, that I want to share with you is that, I think you know it, usually companies are doing some sort of a calibrations, if you know what I mean, about making sure that people sort of acknowledge and estimate another people's efforts in the sort of similar way. So there is no big difference in between, right? The one thing that I'm particularly paying attention on is the notion of persistence. What I mean to say by that is that persistence gives me the element of fairness in the first place. And to me, the persistence is that, let me tell you a story. We have 2 objectives for one person. That person says, I've accomplished everything for you. This is your new theme park. And after 2 months or after 2 weeks, the outcome of that input or of that benefit is evaporating. It's getting away. You know what I mean? For example, you know, I wanted you to improve our two-level code review process. So that person did something for that. They wrote a nice document or something, but after 2 weeks, we find out that we are where we were before. There is no persistence. Or I want to improve a certain system or whatever in generic. At the performance review talk, it sounds that you've accomplished your thing, but again, after a month or a week from now, again, the outcome of that evaporated, meaning it's not persistent. And you know how it feels, you know how it goes, right? Most of people are working on things like, you know, so it sounds and it seems nice and it seems done. And that's the biggest fault that a manager can do. You basically devaluate your culture. So what I mean by the persistence is that I really want to see the outcome of that. I really want to see it's written down in the documentation. I want to see that person did some sort of a knowledge sharing session about that improvement. I want to see it's been automated within the process, for example. I want to see it is written in stone. I want to see it is persistent. This level of persistence gives you a good enough level for the fairness. Because if one person says, it seems nice, and the other person says, you know, I want to make it work and see it work in real, then that's the element where the unfairness comes from, basically. Plus, if we sort of, just pretend that we accomplished something, and then nobody complains about, you know, having the result being evaporated, basically the message that we are spreading is that, you know, your work doesn't matter. That's not the best way how to influence your culture. Okay. So much about persistence. The tip number 7, and I think we spoke about it for a while with Martin, which was about, and that's really practical. You might have a situation that I'm a team lead or I'm an engineering manager. I used to be great. I used to be great at backend, but now I have a, how's that called? Cross-functional team of people from backend, frontend, QA, data, whatever else other roles are, and you don't feel strong in these domains, of course. So my advice is, please, by all means, feel free to invite a technical expert or the domain expert in that field. That's totally fine. Feel free to invite that person for just 15 minutes of the talk at the performance review, or at least ask for the feedback. If you don't, then you don't have the right ammunition in your hands. Asking for the feedback, that's at least what you can do, right? And it's not shame to ask for the feedback. We cannot be genius in each and every domain, especially these days. Please do invite technical experts or domain experts in the domains that you are unsure of. And actually people will welcome it instead. Number 8, this one took me some time to digest, to find the value. This one is about exposing not only the delivery principles and the delivery outcomes, it's more about writing things down. What were the things, the great things that these people have accomplished for us? Usually we are obsessed by, delivering on the roadmap, or delivering on the leadership, whatever else, or what's the standard scope of ours. Nevertheless, imagine you have an IC, you have a developer. In my eyes, delivering the roadmap, that's for granted. That's standard. And I'm not gonna value you for that. What I value instead is that, for example, you have a situation that that person was able to help another person to make the right decision. You know how it feels. You're at the meeting at the meeting for the 3rd time about the very same topic. For fuck's sake. What the hell is happening here? How much do you value the person that helps you resolve the very same issue at the very first meeting. We should praise them for that. We should raise that up throughout our performance review. This is what you did well. How many times do we say that, you've come up with something great, with a great idea, with a great proposal? That's what I love. I love bottom-up approach. This was a really great idea. You have it well thought through. This is the good request for change, for this or that. That's what I love, actually. I love seeing people who come up with their ideas. Resolving conflicts, that's a thing that we totally forgot about after 6 months at the performance review. I love seeing people and praise people for, we had an issue with Jurka and Kamil, and you came up for, I don't know, whatever reason, and all of a sudden it started working. I hope it's not me.
I'll try to fix it.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm talking too much. And again, to me, the most important thing, whether we are in the phase of stabilization or growth, what I praise the most is not delivery. What I praise the most, if I see Jurka has been helping to a new starter, and the new starter is happy about where he or where they are at. To me, this is the most of the value people can bring to. And again, we are forgetting about this aspect. So what I want to share with you here is, please, there are another, let's say, areas or dimensions that you might want to think of that actually are a great source of your ammunition to praise people because they deserve it. If we focus only on delivery, it's great, Peter, that you helped us accomplish X, Y, Z. So what? Again, we are at the Volkswagen line. That's the message, even though we are doing well. This is sort of controversial. I end up doing one trick, which is if the person doesn't perform, I don't have the performance review with them. Fuck them. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm really serious. I'm roasting that person. There are other people having performance reviews. He's the one not having the review. He's coming back to me and says, "Hey Marianne, how about our performance review?" And I'm like, "Do you think we deserve it? Do you think there is a value in talking together?" It's a wake-up call compared to pretending that, "Hey Jurka, let's have another, let's give chance to Jurka for another half a year, and another 3 months, and another 3 months." You know how it feels. You know how it goes. You know where it goes, right? This is the trick that I'm using. You would be surprised how much it works. It works pretty well. I want to be fair. It's a principle of fairness. Again, we are fair. Nothing more than that. The number 10 coming to an end. Again, we are living in Central Europe, Czech Republic. Sometimes I was on the end of that, which is I forgot to thank people in the end of the talk, of the performance review talk. It was like, okay, this is your score, fuck off. If you do that, that's what I deserve, yeah? So again, just to thank people for their contribution, for their loyalty, for just saying them, "Hey Peter, I'm really glad that you are here with me, that I can rely on you." You actually end up motivating that person for the next half a year. One fucking sentence. One true sentence. We don't want to go against the principle of fairness, of course. We don't want to talking another way around, right? Just thank people for their contribution. They deserve it. Tip number 11, after you end up your performance review talk, with each and every person that comes from your direct reports. What works really well if you want to show up or if you want to ask for a raise as an engineering manager, you might want to update upwards the manager how things ended up. And here's the very specific example of that. I'm talking about Peter Pavel. You know, that's the mutual satisfaction of us is 9 out of 10, or it might be 4 out of 10. It's just a sentiment. The score, usually in case we have the performance review frameworks, the score is that, you know, how much we moved with the needle, whether that person has got another level. What's my proposal when it comes to their salary change? What's you know, the underlying contract, meaning like how their previous PDP plan ended up, and what's new at their plate? What's the person's potential? There is one thing that I want to raise that up. Usually the biggest inefficiency of performance review frameworks and you know, career frameworks as such is that they are looking at the history. Meaning they are forgetting about people's potential, the future potential. So please think of that before doing some certain judgment or decisions or hard decisions on specific people. It shouldn't be about just history numbers. It should be about people's potential. If you don't have it there, your framework might be working, but not well enough. Usually it ends up the way that, you know, Peter is not there yet. He's going to be there in a half a year. He's a great potential. We have taken care of them of him for, let's say, 7 months from now. We are really satisfied with him. But guess what? Peter's going to leave in 2 weeks from now. That's what happens if you don't include people's potential in your calculation. And again, some comments, the way how it works and so on. That's really, you know, if you do this sort of list and present that to your direct manager, actually that will make a huge difference, because other people don't do that. Again, the principle is transparency. And I want to finish here. What I want to say, this is exactly the slides that I was, you know, doing 5 minutes ago. To me, one of the highlights of our talk is really about, I see often people talking about career frameworks and performance reviews as an opportunity to get a higher salary or to get to a higher level. Stop thinking about this way. The performance review framework here is for making sure that you grow in your expertise, in my opinion. And if that framework allows that to you, be grateful for that. Be happy with that. You don't have to grow from junior to mid-year to mid to senior to, I don't know, staff and principal architect once per half a year. It's totally fine. Of course, the framework has to adjust your salary towards the way how you move with the score. That's totally fine. But it's a false assumption to expect that, you know, I will get my, you know, a level raise once per half year. That's not what it's designed for. And actually, my message is that if you convince people that it helps them to grow in their expertise as opposed to the levels, why do you care about levels? Of course, there might be a contradiction with that. You know, the levels might ensure me that, you know, there's my third kid being born, so I want to get a raise. I get it, but it shouldn't be the primary motivation. And the last thing I wanted to highlight, please, we as managers, we have to care of our people. The only way, and one of the ways how to make it visible and transparent and practical, walking the talk, is to have that conversation, 5 minutes conversation at least once per month. That's what we sort of highlighted. We will be surprised, there are frameworks that do some sort of mini check-ins once per month as well, some sort of mini performance reviews, just to make sure that we demonstrate and make it real that we really want to see that people grow around us. It's not some sort of artificial system that tells us that, you know, this is the minimum and the maximum of your salary. Please move away. That's not the the purpose of the system. Okay. I think there are many other questions about how to handle a person who doesn't want to welcome your feedback, how to treat people that come back to you with the never-ending question of, I'm so busy, I don't have time for your growth plan. We want to cover that maybe at our drinking party, networking sessions, or later on. I will be really pleased to do that. So there is still some secrecy that I want to keep here, of course. So what I'm hoping, if I skip the questions because there will be a beer, is that each of you got some value from our talk. Each of you has got something to come back to your company and to improve either on your own for your direct reports, or to come up with a proposal to a manager or to your CEO, is that, I don't think we do it well enough. This might be a small improvement, and actually it's worth it. Please do that. So closing that, the number 10 meetup will be held in January here in Prague at make.com. We don't have the theme yet. That's something that we need to come up with, of course. But you are nevertheless very welcome to join that. I think most probably we have Peter here. So if you can, Peter, come up here.
Yeah, sure.
We'll have a talk about most probably, either making sure that how we make sure that we grow the very new team.
Yeah.
This might be one of the things, or how to make sure that that an IC guy or IC person, IC lady, make it well throughout the career progression to the engineering manager, right? That's one of the highlights that we are talking about. There might be another topics, so don't get surprised if we switch to something different. Nevertheless, feel free to join us at make.com.
Yeah, it's going to be 9th January, most likely.
Yeah.
Right, so everyone's welcome. See you there.
Yeah, so that will be it. Thank you, Peter. All the slides are at this link. You can download that, of course. No need to take pictures. And with that in mind, feel free to have some fun time, some network. Will, I think, go down the bar or even here. So with that in mind, if you can, Honza, Martin, come back to the stage. After you, Mr. Doctor. So with that in mind, I wanted to thank you to all of you attending, this special session. Hopefully, as I was saying, it did brought you a value, an idea what to improve. I want to thank to Honza. I want to thank to Martin, and especially to Pure Storage, helping us to make and organize this event for free. One of the conditions that I have, is that we are not looking for sponsors. We don't want to massage you with sponsoring shit. We want to talk real thing. So thank you for that. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for the guys. So big applause to them. You would be surprised. Sometimes it's not really easy to talk in front of close to 80 people. So again, kudos for that. And again, kudos to you that you made it work. And I will be more than happy to have a drink or whatever, Coke with you. I mean, Coca-Cola. My wife is pretty strict. So see you around in January, and I hope that you enjoyed the whole ride. So thank you, and again, enjoy. Bye.